Good morning and welcome. This is Enterprise Weekend, reaching you from Enterprise Television from our corporate headquarters in Lagos State, Nigeria. I am Henry Igwebike. Let's start the day today with our newspapers, and right after that will be our main conversation equally for today. Do well to be part of what we do have a say what we say. You can find us equally for today. Do well to be part of what we do have a say what we say. You can find us, reach us, when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Just few days to the end of the year, and lots of interesting stories brewing all around Nigeria and across the world. And it is our responsibility right here on Enterprise Television to bring them to you as they unfold. In the studios with me is Emeka Madnago, journalist, public affairs analyst, and development communicator, to see through all that we have from our newspapers and straight to our conversation for today. Good morning, Emeka.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you so very much for the time. So let's kickstart today with the first daily on our desk. We have four newspapers to talk about: Vanguard, The Punch, The Guardian, and the Daily Trust newspaper. Interesting stories all over the place. But let's start with the Vanguard newspaper. Sokoto Trump's missile hit farmland. 3 terrorists camp hit 2. And that's coming from a government source. Lots of people have said, what are those casualties if really the missile actually hit the target? Exactly. But of course, lots of things that we might not be privileged to see or hear. But let's take a look at all the stories on the top strip: from hope to ruin, how Nigerians keep losing life savings to Ponzi scheme. We equally have on the other side, this should be an editorial from the Vanguard newspaper: Igbo have no king. Inside the indigenous leadership system of Igbo land before colonial rule. We have all the matters still from the southeast of Nigeria. You can't speak for Igbo. Outraged southeast leaders tell Dave Umahi. Emeka, let's combine these two stories about the Igbo people. Igbo have no king. That's historical. I would love you to help us make sense out of it and connect it to you can't speak for Igbo people. Outrage as southeast leaders tell Dave Umahi. So are they both connected? The fact that Igbos have no king, and therefore everyone is so autonomous that you can't tell anyone what they need to do, and therefore Dave Umahi had no right to be speaking on behalf of the Igbo people.
No, Dave Umahi cannot purport to speak for the Igbo people because we didn't elect him. He's an appointee of President Bola Tinubu. And of course, during the 2023 election, Tinubu didn't win in the southeast. It was Peter Obi won in the southeast. Even in Lagos, they have been controlled by Tinubu since 1999. Tinubu didn't win. Peter Obi won. So that tells you whom the people wanted, not Dave Umahi. But Dave Umahi tries to push himself because, within the APC and the southeast, there is a silent power tussle between himself and Hope Uzodinma. And others like, others are just trying to, all Jews of Kalu, but he's more of an outsider sort of in terms of who wields power. But Umahi doesn't wield any power outside Ebonyi State, where he was governor. Nobody recognizes him. Nobody recognizes him outside Ebonyi State. And it's sad the way he keeps pushing himself. I feel sorry for him. Because doesn't he understand the dynamics, of the inter-ethnic politics in the south, the intra-ethnic politics in the southeast? Is it that he doesn't understand what is at play in the southeast?
So when you talk about intra-ethnic politics, what are you trying to say?
Now, there is this way by which people from his state, Ebonyi, are perceived by people from other states in the southeast.
Hope you are not...
After a negative portrayal, let's say it as blatant as well, because as scholars, we lay the issues bare, and then we now look for solutions. Okay. Now, this negative portrayal, those of us, many of us who have been making efforts at different levels to debunk it, to say, no, we are all Igbos. So, when you know that is attitude, that this domineering attitude that Umahi is putting up, Okay. It's things like this that make people feel that, that make, when the Southeast, Igbos feel like people from Ebonyi, that they have this domineering attitude, they try to control people even outside of their Ebonyi state. So that we view them with suspicion. But to me, I feel you have to, judge a man by his character, not by his ethnic origins or language or religion. So it is sad that Umahi, while people are making efforts, to at least build a cohesive Southeast, he is more interested in throwing himself out as an Igbo leader. And he's not an Igbo leader. He can be a leader maybe in Ebonyi State because he was a governor, no problem. He was the one who helped the current governor, Nwifuru, to get him, because he was speaker then. It was okay. But outside Ebonyi, Umahi, for instance, cannot command a crowd in Onitsha, except maybe his kinsmen, if there is kinsmen who decide to listen to him. Because there's nothing what he has done for the Southeast. Nothing. Anybody who feels otherwise should please put it in the comment section and tell me one thing Umahi has done for the Southeast. That people were traveling home. Do you know that over the last few days, people traveling to the Southeast from the north, from the east, from the west, even within the Southeast, were trapped on the road. Some people slept on the road for 2 days. Somebody said he left Lagos on Sunday night bus. He didn't get to his destination inside, maybe on Onitsha or Owerri, until Tuesday morning.
Wow.
Yeah, people slept on the roads. It's an open, it's open. Why? The man who is Minister of Works, he had been told, Umahi, start doing something as far back as July, that these roads are bad, that these palliatives you are doing, because I travel around a lot, these palliatives you are doing, on the roads, that when the rainy season returns, when the rains come in September, October, and then part of November, that this palliative work will be meaningless. But he didn't listen. And now look at it, it's even been raining even in December. Yeah. Climate change, which is unusual. Now, Umahi knows the choke points on all these roads. One of which is the section that connects the Benin bypass to Benin Agbo Road. When you descend that bridge, that whole area is very bad. Even the road down, by the time you go, you descend the bridge, you get to acquire a bridge, it's bad. You go on, you get into even Delta State. By the time you get through Agbo, well, it's fair. But by the time you get to Asaba, it's a junction. It's terrible. And we've been talking about this since last year. Thank God for former Governor Oduanga, former Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, who actually upgraded Asaba, into a livable state capital and tarred inner roads. If not, it would have been a total disaster. It would have taken us back to the problem of Benin or a road under Obasanjo, where people spend days on the road. So, talking about Igbo Enweze, so I decided to start from the second question. Okay. Igbo Enweze, yes, is a cultural idea that Igbos don't believe in centralized kingship. It had been there, but we also had kingdoms like Inarochukwu, just here and there. But generally, many Igbo communities didn't have a king. Because why? Because of the republican nature of Igbo. So we have what we call Omonna, which is the kindred. So the oldest men in the kindred are more like guardians, more like leaders, because they know the laws, they know the ancient traditions, the ancient law, the ancient mores, all of those things. They know all of those things. So they use it to guide the community. But when colonialism came, because the British government could not, the British colonialists could not administer any place in the Southeast easily, like they were able to do in the North, which already had entrenched traditional rulership. So they now had to, because they preferred indirect rule, so they now had to install warrant chiefs. It's those warrant chiefs now you see who are metamorphosed now into kings, you know. But generally, the kingship in the southeast is not, it's not something that is accorded a big deal. Where some people will just give kings their due. But you will see that in many communities, in many towns, in many cities, it is actually the president general of the town union that's even more influential. Now, there is even an emerging trend of non-governmental individuals who, you know, give out scholarships, who have trained young men in apprenticeship, giving them a lot of money and all of that, you know. You see some who tar roads. Yeah. Do you know, can I tell you one funny thing? A Yoruba man, I forget his name, there is a Yoruba man somewhere in Enugu State who is a philanthropist, unusual philanthropist. I forget, a Yoruba man. But over there, his business, he has been successful. Excuse me. So he has been giving scholarships, giving assistance and all of that, and is widely celebrated in Enugu State. Go and find out. So these non-governmental individuals, they, you know, they build roads, they build schools, they build hospitals, they set up water projects and all of that. And you even see governors coming to open such roads. No shame. I say you are a governor. This is a road you are supposed to do. A private individual will build a road of up to 10 kilometers. Do you know what 1 kilometer of road is in Nigeria? What it costs in Nigeria today? Even though it's inflated, it's 4 billion naira per kilometer. It's inflated though, because that is 4 of the African average. You will come and open a road built by an individual. You will sit down, eat, drink, because you are not ashamed. But that's the sad thing we see. But some governors like Alex Oti, like Peter Mba in Enugu State, like Chukwuma Soludo, they've been trying to change the narrative. Even Hope Uzodinma in Imo has been trying. But it's Nwifuru of Ebonyi, I think should do better. Because I hear a lot of complaints from his people. Yes, you see a lot of roads flyovers, but the inner roads, villages are not connected with, you know, motorable roads, with electricity. I think he should do better. Yes, let me give due credit to him in the health sector. He has done some things in the health sector.
You mean primary healthcare sector? Because we still have data that states that they are the state with the highest number of maternal and child mortality.
Yeah, that's why I think he should do better. That's why I say he should do better. He should do better. Because what's the population of Ebonyi? And the money they are getting, you can do better. They wasted about 50 billion or more on an airport. They didn't need it. If that 50 billion, if they had put that, even half of that 50 billion, 25 billion, into healthcare centers, primary healthcare centers, teaching hospitals, they would, I mean, it would have paid the people, but what do we have? What do we have? Just, you know, I mean, it's sad. Somebody took his child to the hospital, you know, no hospital had a tracheometer to remove something that fell into the boy's lungs, and the boy died. So what is all this? Why are we so carefree about development? So coming to the southeast, we should not be talking of issues of leadership. I don't know if you saw the video of one Igbo businessman who gave money, you know, who settled his apprentices, 21 million. When you do such things, with that money, he has at least, if those boys are responsible, they continue to be responsible, at least he has planted a big seed in such family. So it's such people that will be regarded more than one indolent king just sitting somewhere. People will regard such a man. People will regard such a man. You know? So it is the way it is.
All right, it is given actually. They say you respect the person that is closest to you and is there to provide succor, you know, to you, than one so-called leader who is there and you know, seeing himself, you know, with all the profligacy up and down. But let's talk about the Weekend Trust newspaper, which is the weekend edition of the Daily Trust newspaper. Straight to our talking point: National Assembly orders regazetting of tax law. Emeka, which way Nigeria at this point, when we thought that the same National Assembly that had raised the issue of the discrepancies with the tax law are still going behind Nigerians to say, let them re-gazette it. So does that mean that everything that they had pointed out is null and void at this point?
No, some legal pundits have said that that's an illegal act. To re-gazette a law that has been passed, a bill that has been passed into law and signed by the president, that re-gazetting it is an illegality.
Has it ever happened before?
No, it is strange. It is strange because once you pass a bill into law, it's sent to the president. The president has 30 days within which to assent to it or not. If the National Assembly feels strongly about that bill, they can override the president's veto. They can exercise their veto and override his assent. So it is strange that the National Assembly has acknowledged that there were alterations in the bill. It's in the bill, in the harmonized bill it passed. So what should happen is that it should ask the executive to step down that law, return it, and then you go through an amendment, by way of an amendment, you ask the National Assembly, okay, that there were certain things we left out in the course of preparing this bill, this act, even though we went through public hearing and all that, okay, that we want some of these things reflected. Let there be a debate. If they pass, no problem. If they don't pass, but let the law take effect. But with the way it is now, how can the new laws take effect by January? Because people will go to court to challenge it.
But Oyedele said nothing will stop it. That January.
Oyedele is not the president of Nigeria. You see, I pity that young man. The way he talks, he doesn't understand the dynamics of Nigerian society. People like that. I mean, this is somebody who was saying the opposite of the things he's saying now. He used to say the opposite. Go and check his old tweets. Even under Buhari, he said you cannot increase the burden of the people by increasing taxes. He said it. So for him to be saying all those things, he's not somebody whose words I'll take seriously. The president is Bola Tinubu. That is the man I will listen to, not Taiwo Oyedele. Taiwo Oyedele should go and sit down. He has done his job, and he has done a shoddy job.
But the president often listens to some of those.
The president cannot consider somebody like Taiwo Oyedele above the wishes of Nigerians. Now, people are not saying that they don't want to pay taxes. That is not the issue. The thing is that people like Taiwo Oyedele have caused so much confusion in the system. Coming out to say that people's accounts will be restricted, which is a lie. Coming out to say some other outrageous things, which are lies. The Joint Tax Board came out to say it is not true. That your NIN will automatically become your tax ID. But somebody saying that your account will be restricted for January if you don't have a tax ID. Is that how it's done? I'm an entrepreneur, I own companies. And when your company is registered with CAC, you go to a bank to open a corporate account. The bank will help you generate a tax identification number, TIN. And we have told banks this thing should be automatic. That's why at a point, FIRS had a small office in every location where you had the Corporate Affairs Commission. So what you just do, once FIRS takes your file, for incorporation, it should pass through the FIRS.
No, once CAC takes
take it through the FIRS. Then by the time CAC is issuing you with an RC number, registration, certificate, the number, your team should just follow naturally. You shouldn't go to the bank and start another process. But Nigeria, if people have not put Nigerians through suffering, avoidable suffering, their ego, will still be little. It should be part of the process. Payment of taxes should not even be a big deal. Because you need to decide, like I, for one, I'm an opponent of this value-added tax. Because as far as I'm concerned, the late General Sani Abacha, who brought it up, wanted to use it to help states to get more money. But gradually, some people are saying no, that the states, they don't have the technology to handle it. They cannot do it. But recently, the Supreme Court shut down the National Lottery Act and said the federal government has no business regulating lottery and gambling. That is a municipal affair. So it should be controlled by states. The Attorney General of the Federation had gone to court to say that that gaming is basically an online business and that it transcends the boundaries of states. But the Supreme Court said no. No, it is just a method. It's not as if everybody who goes to, you go to some of these gaming shops, people use biro and paper. Yeah, so why are you making it look like, you know, then okay, if you say it is online, then you can as well bring other countries, you know, so that let them also take a share. It's meaningless. It's meaningless. The fact that Facebook, Meta, X, and the rest of them register, are required to register a corporate entity in your country doesn't mean you control cyberspace. No. So the point is this thing should be seamless. So for me, I'm against VAT, value added tax, because states like Lagos are charging a sales tax in addition. So Nigerians are overtaxed. That's why somebody like Dangote will say, I make 100 naira and I have to pay 52 naira to the government. Where is the incentive for him to employ people? For him to employ thousands of people, where is the incentive? When you have such overtaxation. So what we need to do is this. If we want, right now, Tinubu's focus is on personal income tax, which to me shouldn't be that way. It should be more on consumption. You should look towards the side of consumption. Sales tax. You have the federal taxes, no doubt about that, company income tax, education tax and all of. But personal income tax, you are now grading it. You brought it low to 800,000. Meanwhile, minimum wage is 70,000 naira. Times 12 is 840. And again, they not let people realize that when they are not going to be called to account next year. It's actually between January and March in 2027 that the National Revenue Service, which the customs and FIRs will now become. National Revenue Service will start sending letters to people, you know, that they should come and file their annual returns, personal income tax, which the state governments are doing now. So when you want to pursue something like that, to me there should be no hurry, because actually they should have allowed this thing to begin on April 1. The current financial year, taxable year, will end March 31 for personal income tax. For company income tax, it will end June 30. I'm an entrepreneur. So by June 30, we'll be required to file company income tax and all those things. But by March 31, you'll be required to file personal income taxes. So, but you're now starting this thing in January. So for me, how am I now going to file my PIT for 2025 and then my CIT for 2025 when you are bringing in a new set of laws? Buhari, when he was president, and they were looking at the Finance Act, they said, okay, let us give Nigerians some time. Let it start in September. Or was it September 2021 or so? Let it start in September. So they pushed all these things forward. So that look at September, October, November, December, January, February. So that you have enough time to adjust. Talking in terms of thresholds. That okay, this is the threshold. That okay, if your turnover is not up to 25 million. You can be exempted from VAT. You can be exempted from company income tax. Even though the FIRS was still harassing people, has still been harassing people who are just making small sales for VAT returns and all of that. Now, the alterations, you are saying that, that if somebody has a complaint about a demand notice, that the person should drop 20% fast. That will tell you where it's coming from. That the person should drop 20% first. So you are telling somebody, okay, if you want to cry, first of all, submit 20 canes submit 20 canes, so that by the time you go to court, if you lose, that is backward. That is wickedness of the highest order. And I must tell those people doing this thing, one day this government will leave power, and you will pay for it. You may think Tinubu won't last forever. Tinubu won't be there forever. You will pay for it. Yes, remember Obasanjo when he was head of state. After Murtala Mohammed was killed, they put some people on trial, and they now brought up something that if you hear about a coup, not even if you're involved, you hear about it, then people were made to pay for it. What did Abacha do to Obasanjo? He brought up that law. He reminded him that this thing was done when you were head of state, so you are going to face it.
Because he was aware of the coup against.
And even though it was a phantom coup, but you are going to face. So let them remember, history is very live. History is alive. Let them remember that what goes around comes around. Whatever they are doing, let them continue, but they will pay for it.
Definitely.
Because how can you insert something that you can see somebody's house without going to court? So you have now become a court unto yourself. Come. You see, this Tinubu administration, I think Nigeria should be very careful. Anything passed by the National Assembly, Nigeria should insist, use the FY Act to get certified true copies. Go through it to see, after the president signs it, to see whether it's the same thing. Because people have shown that they are very dangerous human beings. They are not to be trusted. And that's what I'll tell Nigerians. Be very vigilant. Because even the Electoral Act, they can insert things in the Electoral Act that you are not sure of. If that lawmaker, had not raised the alarm, that lawmaker from Sokoto, Dasuki, we wouldn't have known that there were alterations.
And it's simply because if he wasn't, if he had been standing on the mandate, I don't think he would have even, had the.
There are others who knew about it.
But of course,
they are cowards.
Cowards and standing
shameless
on
cowards.
Well, that's all we have for this segment. Just to let you know that Emeka will be here to take us on our main conversation in a bit. It's actually quite interesting that we're saying all of this and more. But we'll be right back, and when we return, Sokoto confirms successful joint airstrike with the Nigerian government, of course, the military, and said no civilian fell as a result of that. In the beat, still Enterprise Weekend. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.